Welcome to Work Life by Design. I'm your host, Mel Marsden. As a passionate entrepreneur with a desire to create places where people and business thrive, I hope to inspire you to find your place at work and in life so you can live a life by design. You'll hear stories of transformation, exploring everything from organizational psychology to brand, and identifying opportunities in your workplace and your life to inspire your human potential. So, let's get started. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Work Life by Design. Now, I really hope that you are settling into the new year well, that you have reestablished your work rhythms. And the reason I say that is because I've been reflecting on the start to this year and I feel like we've absolutely hit the ground running. I don't know if it's just what happens in our industry, in the design and construction space, but typically we normally have a bit of a slowdown into Christmas and then really things don't start to ramp up until about February because people are still getting back on deck and getting their own projects and things organized internally within their businesses before they start to kind of re-engage with us and ramp things up. But this year has been completely different. We have had projects that have just continued on over through Christmas and we've really hit the ground running this year, which means we haven't had that opportunity to really ease into it. And that means that everything is kind of coming at you really quickly this year. But we've also had so much turbulence and trepidation around the start to the year. We've had people who have been ill. We've had businesses that have either had to close their doors because they can't get staff, or we're running with limited operations. So this has affected everybody from retail, and you've probably seen it in the supermarkets. The shelves are bare because they can't get the stock in to then actually load the shelves, and this is happening across all businesses. And so projects are being delayed, start dates are getting pushed out because we just don't have people that are well enough that are able to do the work that we need them to do. And so there's all of this turbulence that's happening around us, and then they extended the school holidays. So the school holiday term in Queensland has been pushed out by 2 weeks, but without vacation care. So that means that only vulnerable children or those of essential workers are able to go to school. So for 2 weeks, we're kind of just juggling kids and work and staffing issues and everything else that's going on at the moment. So that was kind of just like the icing on the cake. And so I don't know if it was just me, but I feel like the overwhelm of the year hit me early this year. It just kind of smacked me in the face. And, I am not immune to the feeling of overwhelm either. It's that mental load of all the things that are on your plate as the year restarts. And they were just starting to weigh me down. And it's like, just to give you a bit of a snapshot of some of the things that you've got the start of the new year. So you've got all these exciting plans that are coming up. You're catching up on emails. Depending on when you're starting back as to when other people have already started back, they've had a bit of a head start. So you're kind of then playing catch up on, a week or two's worth of emails and progress that they've already made and how then you need to kind of respond to that. Reactivating projects. So with the start of a new year, a lot of people think that that's like the new start. The same thing happens after the end of financial year. So January and July tend to be our reactivation periods. So I've had a few clients that are coming back and going, yep, we're good to go. Let's go. So we're looking at how we can start to move those projects forward and reignite them. I'm also in the recruitment process at the moment because we're expanding our business and I've got the baby coming in May and I really want to take mat leave this year. So we're looking at who we can bring into the team to help support that. So we're in the market at the moment for a project operations manager to support me running the business and supporting our clients and supporting the team so that I can go and take that mat leave. I've been trying to dodge the COVID bug as well, just making sure that, I can keep on top of everything else that's going on. So, looking at that and then worrying about my team and making sure that they're safe and that they're okay. So there's all of that. And then there's the life admin stuff, like booking the dog into the groomer. And then unfortunately, because of COVID, my cleaner has decided that that's not what she wants to be putting herself and her family at risk, which is perfectly understandable. So hiring a new cleaner and the list goes on. And then when they told me that they were extending vacation care, wow, that was it. I was ready to crack. All of these things are building and building and building on us constantly. And so I have an intention for this year, and I shared this in last week's episode, was about living a spacious and expansive life. So I've set my word for the year to be spacious. Now, what that means for me, and I'm so bloody grateful that I did that for myself, because that is just a constant reminder for realignment. That is how I keep going, no, this is what I have set for myself. This is the year that I've decided that I want things to be spacious. And so that means that I need to start to focus and prioritize my own health and well-being. And that means that this just helps me kind of come back and go, well, what's really important to me? And what am I going to do to make sure that that comes back and it comes back in? So it's that realignment piece, and it really helps. Now, I'm as good as the next person. I sit here and I had a massive vent to my husband and feel really great about it in the moment, but it does nothing to help me move forward and to get out of the funk that I was in, because staying in that space is no good for you. It's no good for anyone else around you. You end up being a bit of a cranky cow, and you really need to snap out of it. And so there are things that I have learnt over many, many years that I use to help me get out of that feeling of overwhelm and to start to feel like I'm far more in control of my days and within my time. So what I want to do today is I want to share with you 5 ways that I use to dissolve that overwhelm and to get me back feeling like I'm in control and moving forward. Because at the end of the day, that is the aim of the game. We need to keep moving forward. We can't sit here and wallow in our self-pity as much as we might like to. Throw yourself the pity party and then snap out of it. So here's a couple of ways that I use to help dissipate that black cloud that I found was really hanging over me. The first thing that I do is I get outside. So there is a growing body of research, and there's even a new stream of science called eco-psychology that have shown that spending time out in nature is good for our health and well-being. Now, we've spoken about this a number of times. Dr. Christie talks about it. Any kind of good research you see will tell you, go outside and reconnect with nature. There was a whole movement that happened a couple of years ago called Look Up, and it was all about reconnecting in with the broader world around us. Now, the Japanese have even got a word for this. They call it Shinrin-yoku, which means forest bathing. And what they've found is that it actually helps to boost immunity and mood and reduce stress. So by going out for a walk in the forest and just, observing nature around you, it's that ability to connect back into Mother Nature. When we do this, there are proven scientific health impacts. And so that's what this research has been showing us. So it can lower our blood pressure, it lowers our stress hormone levels, it reduces that nervous system arousal, so that pressure, that flight or fight activation, it reduces that. It enhances your immune system function so you can actually feel healthier, and it increases our self-esteem, it reduces anxiety, and it improves our mood. So just getting outside and going for a walk in the park, looking at the trees, putting your feet in the grass, any of those things is going to help you reconnect in with this bigger world around you and have significant impacts immediately on your body. I'm all up for hiking just as much as the next person, but what I'm not suggesting is pack your bags and go for 3 days and hang out in the wilderness, although that would be amazing and I have done that and I can highly recommend it. So if you can do that, do it. But just spending that 20 minutes and going for a walk in the local park, looking at the trees, all of that, just connecting back into the earth can have those similar effects. So I'm very fortunate where I live here in Brisbane. I'm really close to the Tui National Park, so I can go for a walk in there. And I try and do that regularly because I find that this actually helps me. And the other thing that I find with getting out and going for a walk is that it has this added side effect, which I like to call more like a walking or an active meditation. So Brené Brown talks about this too. And what it actually helps you do is unravel all of those thoughts that are in your head and help you make sense of all those feelings and those emotions. And it kind of is just an opportunity to unravel that. And when I went and I did Mount Everest Base Camp in 2017, that trek I found so therapeutic because for 16 days, you are alone in your own head and you're enabled to just unravel all of the knots and the thoughts and the things that are swirling around and the rumination that is in your head. And this is that idea, I think, of the pilgrimage, is that it gives you that opportunity to think and to process and decompress. And so taking time to do that regularly just helps you move through some of that stuff and clear some of those cobwebs away that are in your mind. And it actually helps you improve that mood. Now, another quick fix that I'm just going to throw in here at the end of that is that you can also use essential oils to replicate some of these things. So the brand that I particularly like is called Iku, and I'll put a link to that in the show notes. And they have one called Breathe Easy, and it is actually designed to replicate the effects of that Japanese forest bathing, because they've proven that the pine needles release scents, aromas, and those things actually have a lasting effect on your bloodstream. So you can actually replicate that effect at home. And I've got it here in my oil diffuser on my desk at the moment. And so I use that quite regularly as well to try and help replicate some of those health effects that you can get as well. Never before have we collectively experienced such change on a global scale. The pandemic, whilst on one hand has challenged us in ways that previously we could have only imagined, on the other, it has opened the doors to incredible opportunity. The opportunity to redesign our work lives in a way that works for us. An opportunity to disrupt, reset, and recreate our new normal. And to help you on this journey, I am so excited to bring to you the Work-Life Lounge. This is your VIP pass to accessing some of the greatest thought leaders in our world of work. So often we are told what we need to do and why we need to do it, but we are often left wondering, how do I make the changes that I need to? And that's where the Work-Life Lounge is here to support you, to guide you step by step through the how, to take back control and design your work life on your own terms. So to claim your seat in the lounge, head over to melissamarsden.com.au/work-life lounge. I can't wait to see you in the lounge. Now, let's get back to the episode. The next step that I want you to consider is switching off. Now, carving out an hour of your time to disconnect when you already feel like you have so much on your to-do list and you don't have enough time may feel counterintuitive. And trust me, I know how resistant I can be. It's like, I haven't got time to sit down and take an hour out of my day. I have all of these things to do. But I know that when I stop resisting that, the opposite could not be truer. So by taking that time to slow down and removing all of that external stimulation, enables your mind and your body to slow down as well. And so this is that then slowing down of that parasympathetic nervous system and removing all that external stimulus so that you can start to really reconnect back in with yourself. Because what happens is we often get all this external noise. We've got social media, we've got emails coming in, we've got clients requesting things, and all of a sudden we're just being bombarded with all of these things that we need to react or respond to. And these external factors just continue to add to our mental load of all the things that we should be doing. You know, they keep adding to that list. So by taking that time to just kind of sit back, reconnect back in with yourself and how you are feeling in your body, the aches, the niggles that you feel, even just the beating of your heart. These are all tiny messages that come from within us to help us navigate the world around us. And when we take that opportunity to listen into our body, we often find the answers that we are seeking, because we can hear then what is most important to us, what is our priority, and how are we going to then respond to that. Because what we're doing otherwise is we're responding to everyone else's external priorities for us. We're not actually listening to ourselves and then responding from a place that is aligned with our own priorities. So during that 1 hour, you can use that to meditate, you can journal, you can read. It's just about how you can tune back into your body, clear your mind, and empty out all of those thoughts and feelings that you've got ruminating around in there. I find journaling really helpful for this because, again, a bit like that walking active meditation, it helps me get all those thoughts and feelings and emotions and judgments and expectations that are swirling around inside my head out on paper. And then it's a really great way to help make sense of them. I actually find it helps me articulate them and then release what's unhelpful and find clarity in the action that I need to take. Because a lot of the stuff that's ruminating around in our head can just sometimes be, I call them ridiculous thoughts. They're not necessarily helpful, but they're sitting in there. And so when you put them down on paper, they become a bit more real, and you can kind of go, well, that's a bit ridiculous. And let's let that one go. But actually, this is something that I need to focus on. So taking that time to switch off and find that hour of calm and quiet can be really, really helpful. The third thing that I do is what I call a brain dump. Now, so this is very similar to journaling, but it's about getting everything that is on my mental to-do list out on paper. Because what that's doing is it's shifting you from having to carry around this mental load inside your head, and you're constantly adding and thinking, I'm going to forget all of these things, and it's down on paper. And the simple act of writing this down shifts it from that mental load and something that I need to remember into a physical, tangible list that I can actually start to work with. And so by getting all of this stuff down on paper, I can shift that weight, and I no longer have that feeling of being weighed down. And we're often carrying around a lot of concerns and worries and things that are existing beyond our control, but they're still contributing to that mental load and that feeling of overwhelm. So when I talk about these things about concerns and worries, maybe it's the health of your elderly parents. Maybe it's about what's going on around in the world around you. Maybe it's the demeanor of a colleague towards you, or you've got concerns about the way that the illness is spreading at the moment and the impact that it might have you or your family. All of these are very valid concerns and worries, but they are not situations that you have any control over. These things are all outside your circle of influence. They are happening around you. You can only control the way that you think about them and the way that you respond to them. You can't actually control those things independently. So by writing out this list and then starting to look at what is actually within your control, your thoughts, your actions, and the things that you can influence, you can then start to take back that sense of control, and with it starts to get that sense of stability back as well. So by doing this brain dump, you're able to kind of separate everything out. You're getting it out of your head and down on paper. And I like to list it out into two columns. I have a work list and I have a life list. And so everything that is in my brain goes onto these lists. And once it's all down, I can start to work my way through that list, and I can work out what's in my control and what's not. What is, yes, that's acknowledging that that is a concern that I have, but also acknowledging that there's nothing I can do about it. So I need to find a way to get comfortable with releasing that load as well, because I can't change it. Those things are there, and I know that that's easier said than done, but for your own well-being, there needs to be a way that you can start to process that so that you can release that feeling of needing to address that. So once you've worked out your list and you've worked out what is within your control and then what's not within your control, I want you to go through and categorize all of the things that are within your control. And I use 3 categories to do this. I prioritize them. So what are the most important things that I need to get done on that list? Some things are just there and they need to get done, but they aren't urgent or important. So I would need you to go through your list and work out what absolutely has to get done and needs to be done as a priority. The next thing I want you to think about is, what can you delegate? What can you ask someone else to do to help you with this? Is it a partner? Is it a child? Is it a colleague? Is it your boss? Go through your list and work out what you can seek support for to move it off your list so that you're feeling a little bit freer. And the third thing I want you to do is delete. Does it really need to be done? Perhaps it's something you would love to get done, but in the end, it's just nice to have, and it's not a must-have, and it would absolutely lighten your load if it wasn't there, which would enable you to then start to focus on the things that are truly important. So be a bit discerning with this one. Go through and work out what you can delete. What do you absolutely not need to do, but it'd be nice to do it, but you don't need to. So that is how to process your brain dump. Now, the fourth thing that I do is do something for you. Because when we spend time doing something that makes us feel good, it helps shift our energy from one of expending and giving and just constantly outward to one of receiving. And when we start to feel like we're receiving, that is when we are starting to fill our cup. We're starting to feel a bit more energized, uplifted. So whether it's going and getting a massage, going and doing a Pilates class, or going for a walk along the beach, investing your time and energy in doing something that fills your own tank, you begin to shift your energy because it's starting to refuel you. You start to feel like you're being topped up. Because when we're in that constant state of giving our energy out without taking the time to refill our own tank, we reach this point where we're so extended, we're so overwhelmed, and we're so exhausted that resentment and bitterness can start to creep in. And whilst we have the best intentions of supporting and caring and helping for everyone else around us, if there is nothing left in our own tank, then we're really pouring from that empty cup, and nothing good can come from this. So there's a whole episode of this back in last season. So if you want to go and tune into that one, you can. But the short version of this is start by making yourself a list of all the things that make you feel good. And having this list handy and accessible, you just really created a really quick reference guide to check in with and pick just one activity that you can do in a moment of overwhelm to help refuel you. So this is all about you taking care of you so that you have that energy to be able to expend it, to be able to put it out there, and so that you feel like you're actually back on top of things, putting your own oxygen mask on first. The last thing that I do to get myself out of this sense of overwhelm is I find 3 quick wins. So going back to your brain dump and your newly created list of things that you can influence and what you can focus on, what are 3 really quick things that you could action from that list that would make you feel like you've moved forward? Now, when we start to tick things off our to-do list, what it helps us do is it gives us a dopamine hit. All of a sudden, we feel like we're doing good things. We've got a positive feedback loop because we're taking action, which continues to motivate us, which enables us to continue the forward momentum. So pick 3 simple, easy things to do and tick them off, cross them out. The simple act of ticking them off and crossing them off your list will make you feel like you have lightened your load and you've made some progress. So it could be sending an email, returning a phone call, paying a bill, whatever is a simple, quick and easy thing. Takes less than 5 minutes and you're guaranteed you will feel lighter immediately. So have a think about that. If you're seeing that sense of overwhelm, what are really 3 quick, easy things that you can do to get those things off your list and to start to give yourself that positive feedback loop? So these are my 5 steps for you to action when you start to feel like that dark cloud is really creeping in, because I want you to feel expansive and spacious, just like I'm aiming to. And I want you to be able to see that blue sky that's sitting above you. And so if you found any of these things useful or helpful, or if you've been able to put them into practice, I would love to know. Please hit reply on an email to me. Come and pop in and say hello to me at Instagram at Melma. I would love to hear how these are supporting you, or if you have your own tips and tricks on how you are implementing them into your life. And another thing that I have started to do is I've introduced these on a regular basis. So I've got what I call a slow morning. Now, my slow morning is a 2 to 3 hour window where I can go for a walk in the bush. I do some journaling. I do some meditation. I go and find some time during my week to do something nice for me, whether it is a massage or it's, I go to Pilates every Tuesday. So finding ways to incorporate these things into your week on a regular basis can also help to even out that sense of overwhelm so it doesn't get to that peak load. But these are really great ways then to take action when it does. So thanks for joining me again this week. It has been an absolute pleasure sharing this one with you. I really enjoy sharing some of the things that I found have worked well for me, and I would love to hear what's working well for you and if any of this stuff resonates. So have a gorgeous, gorgeous week, and I look forward to chatting with you again here next week. Thank you for joining me for Work Life by Design. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd love you to rate, review, or subscribe, or all three, in iTunes and share it with your friends so we can continue to build this community. I would love to hear from you. If you have any thoughts, questions, or suggestions, you can connect with me on Instagram @Melma or send me an email at melissa@melissamarsden.com.au. I hope this episode has given you a few sparks of inspiration so you can design a work life you love.